Real problem with public defenders in Oklahoma. I'm Tulsa Attorney James Worth, and we're talking about issues related to criminal defense, and the topic here is the real issue with public defenders in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, as well as throughout the country, based on United States Supreme Court precedent in Gideon, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, then one will be appointed for you. Some people complain about that, though. They don't complain about the right to have one. They complain about the one that they have. We hear people comment on public defenders as public pretenders, or that they're not as good of attorneys in issues like that. And I can tell you that that's definitely not always the case. There's some great public defenders out there. There's some, fantastic attorneys that are public defenders that do a good job, and they like their work, and they're very experienced and knowledgeable about it. There's other ones that are newer, maybe aren't quite as equipped. It's the spectrum, just like anywhere in public practice. In private practice, there's going to be a spectrum of the good and the bad and everything. One difference also between public defenders and private attorneys is public defenders are overwhelmed. They have a lot of different cases, and that may mean less attention to any specific case, but it can also mean more experience that could be beneficial to your case. So then that leads me to, what is the big difference? What is the real issue with public defenders in Oklahoma? And the biggest difference and the real issue is that you don't get to choose your public defender. You can choose your private attorney. You can meet with a few, you can talk back and forth, and you can decide who you want to hire, and that attorney can decide if they want to defend you. It takes both parties to agree and both parties' choice, and that's what sets the private attorney relationship different from the public defender, where the public defender, they don't get to choose to accept your case, and you don't get to choose what attorney you get, and if you're not happy with them, you can't easily switch to someone else, unlike with a public or a private attorney. If you don't like them, you can fire them and hire somebody else. So the real problem with public defenders is not that they're not great attorneys, because they definitely can be. It's that you don't get to choose them, they don't get to choose you, and that can kind of change how you feel about that relationship there. So if you can afford an attorney, a public defender is not going to be provided for you anyway. But if you've got questions on that for a private attorney, you can get those answered by scheduling online at makelaweasy.com.